Hello, friends. Today I want to talk about a proposal that I have, a suggestion that I'd like to make for an alternative to the mode of hate that we have slipped into as a collective in the West, in so-called civilized society. Frankly, our so-called leaders are acting like children. We have allowed children, which is to say less than fully mature people, to dominate and dictate and tell us what we can say and when we can say it and to whom we can say it and who we have to value and how we have to value them. And I think that there are a whole lot of us who have had it just up to here with being told, and being told by people who we don't know. The bottom line is this. If you're a fully fledged adult, in this country at least, which is what I'm hoping that we can agree to try to preserve, which is freedom, you should be able to decide for yourself what you put in your body, how you live your life, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. And so where we got confused was we thought that we needed to be managed and governed and policed to a much greater extent than we really needed. We need to scale all of that down, all of it. That's the only solution. We don't need as much governing as we have. And the so-called leaders know this, and this is why they're busily making sure that they still have jobs and they still have programs and policies and all this baloney. I live in Seattle, and all the streets that are closed for safes, whatever the hell, I don't know what that is, but I didn't vote on that. I didn't ask for that. I didn't say, hey, could you just make our streets a total and complete maze, disaster, frustration, whatever. Anyway, right, sorry. So I've had it up to here. I'm tired of being told. I'm tired of being told that I'm racist. I'm not. I don't have a racist bone in my body. I named my youngest son Lincoln because I think that President Lincoln was an exemplary human being. He was a problem solver, and he had courage, and he had integrity, and he had a true and profound love of his fellow man, fellow woman, fellow human. That's what we need. We need more of that. We need more people like Lincoln and Martin Luther King. And the list is as long as my arm of people who have stood up and said, that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And so I would personally appreciate it if I were not called a white person anymore. I don't like that. That bothers me. I didn't engage in it when it went the other way, and I'm not going to engage in it now. My name is Erica. You can call me that. And if somebody has a problem with anything that I say, they can just have a problem with it. As far as I'm concerned, they can get glad in the same jeans they got mad in, because it's not my business and it's not my problem. What is my problem is that we're destroying this country. I raise children who need a foundation to step out onto when they leave my care in the world. The world that they're finding out there is not the world that I prepared them for, because I taught them the golden rule and to be kind and not to be bigoted and not to be hateful. So they're out there in the world going, Mom, what the fuck? This isn't the world that you described, the way you raised us. So this is my proposal. Why don't we just set it all down? Everything. Just set it all down. Because the fact of the matter is that the people that have hurt us all the most, each of us individually, the person that's hurt you the most is somebody that you've loved. It's not some stranger, and it's certainly not some stranger who's of a different creed or race or religion. It is somebody in your family for the most part, for most of us. For me, that's the case. As soon as I realized that in my entire life, put everybody else together who's ever harmed me, they still haven't harmed me as much as my parents' actions harmed me. Now, my parents, they were dealing with their own demons, and I'm not saying that they were awful and terrible, and I'm not angry with them. I'm just saying that I had to overcome that, just like I would have to overcome anyone else who was trying in any way, shape, or form to control or oppress me. That is what we have to do. We have to rise above. It's not anybody else's responsibility to pave the way for us. It's not anybody else's responsibility to make life easy for us. Where did we get this idea? Well, if the generation coming up behind has the idea, then guess what? They got it from us. That was our mistake, my generation. I just turned 50. We raised the so-called social justice warriors. So, sorry about my dog. So this is the thing. We are all in this together. The so-called elite, everybody, all right? If you're angry right now, then chances are good that you are part of the permanent underclass. What I suggest is this. Instead of being jealous or hateful or negative of anybody else or fearful, because a whole lot of this bigotry and racism is fear or jealousy. You can't do something that, or don't want to do something that another class of people or another race or whatever does, and so you go after them. I think a whole lot of what we're seeing coming back at us right now from other races is some backlash, and I understand that. I just don't think that it's going to help anybody. I don't think that it's going to help any of us, and I don't think it's going to help our children. So why don't we just agree to set all of our differences aside and focus on the solution, just for like 6 months? Because if we don't do that, chances are really good we're not going to have another 60 years. We're going to destroy ourselves because we are in full self-destruct mode, because we hate ourselves and we're ashamed of ourselves, and we definitely hate each other. I would rather not. Okay, so if we start focusing on the solution, and by that I mean the solutions within our own lives, cleaning up our own lives, our own neighborhoods. And so some really practical, concrete things. Simplify your life. Make it so that you aren't running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Make it so that you can breathe, so you can think. Heal your relationships. And even if you just have to forgive and let go of a lot of negative energy, that will be healing. If you can't go back and heal those relationships with those people. Make it a point to thank everybody that you think has hurt you, because if you thank them, that means that you've learned from them and they were your teacher, and then you're empowered and you have taken one more bully out of the world. We don't need any more negative energy. We don't need any more victims. We don't need any more bullies. What we need is stand-up people who refuse to back down from who refuse to stop when they know that what they're doing is the right thing for the greater good for all of us. So I believe that there are enough of us who are able to do this, that we could get this started. And once we get it started, it'll pick up its own momentum, and it'll carry people along with it. And more people will wake up to the reality of the situation and wake up to their place in it and their abilities within that structure. And each of us, one by one, we will apply ourselves to the things that we see that are fucked up in the world. And that's how we fix this. We can't fix it with the same mind that we have right now. We just can't. I've been a benevolent outsider my entire life, meaning I've never fit in. I've always been just slightly out of step. I just didn't get bitchy about it. I didn't get pissy about it. And so I just accepted it. I've always had friends, and I've always loved people, and I still had things to do and all that. But I've always known that I was kind of different. Well, trying to live in this world caused me to just crumble, and my mind snapped. And I understand why now, because it's a very cruel and hateful world, and it was just too hard. It was too harsh. So now we're in this chaotic situation where everything's falling apart. Let's rebuild it mindfully and positively. Let's just do that. Then we can go back to being mad at each other if we want, which I guarantee we won't. Let's just agree that what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the next generation. Solution. I think that we should make it an objective to have a youth resource center in every town and every city in the United States. I have to walk to a different area because my ex is home and he's going to start blah, 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 because that's what he does. So, a youth and or a family resource center in every city and town in the United States within 5 years. Okay, now this is going to, people are going to be like, oh my God, this woman's cracked. But listen, that is the point. The point is it's the next generation. We're supposed to be responsible for them anyway. We're failing that responsibility. So let's stop failing it. Let's focus on helping these kids who have been set back because of COVID. Let's, each of us in our own communities, go to your community center, go to a church, wherever, and see if you can start a tutoring group. Get some moms like me who raised their kids who don't have anything else to do and just say, hey, can you help? There are as many ways to do this thing as there are people to do it. So I'm not going to give any more ideas because other people will have ideas, and that's the point. All across the country, let's just decide that we're going to fix this. We're going to make it right. and that we are going to refuse to be the permanent underclass. Another idea I have is, in communities, you could just locally get together with your neighbors and start like a co-op, start like a little business. There are a lot of things that we could do on a grassroots level, and I'll make a video another time about this business idea that I have, how we can empower everybody within our own community, because we do need to get local. For one thing, we're going to face like power outages and interruptions in our ability to live globally, probably no matter what we do. So why don't we prepare by becoming as local as we can, working within the people in our community to lift each other and to lift each other's kids. Let's just decide that we're going to turn. We're going to stop and we're going to turn around. We're going to go in a different direction because this one's not working. Let's just do that. It's not that hard. And as soon as you start doing that, you'll start liking yourself. You'll start taking better care of yourself. You'll start to feel better. And then it'll be easier. And you'll want to do it. And then you'll just be loving life, and you'll love everybody around you. You'll love everything you see. You'll want to do everything, and you'll want to just hug everybody, and you won't be hateful anymore. I promise. That's the way it works. And the fact of the matter is that when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be doing it, you can't fail. Nobody can make you fail. Nobody can hold you back or hold you down. Nobody can undermine you or cheat you or bully you if you're where you are supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Meaning, what did you come into this world to do? Using your full gifts. One thing for me is, I've always had a problem with, I shouldn't say a problem, but I've always been uncomfortable about the disparities between, I don't like to focus on looks. And I've really run my looks down and downplayed my looks many, many times just to try to fit in and to try to not have girls hate me, for one thing, which is some shit we need to talk about. But, that's silly, because if the great lottery, that drops you down on the planet with whatever gifts you have or whatever, chooses you to excel a little bit in this way or that way or the other way, then whatever it is, we should be using all of our potential. That's the point, is that when we have more people who are operating closer to full potential, we won't have any problems, and we won't have a permanent underclass. And the so-called elite, they are still people. They're human beings. They may be confused, but we're all confused. They may be fucking up sometimes, but we're all fucking up. The big idea here is to not be a victim, because nothing good comes of it, I promise you. I did it, I tried it, got the t-shirt, not good. Not a good look. You'll die young, you'll die unhappy. You'll be hating life the whole time you're there, the whole time you're here. The only way to do this is to be yourself, to express yourself fully and joyfully, because that's an extension. And that's where freedom comes from, and that's where bliss and joy come from, is feeling free. Stop saying yes when you mean no. As Martin Luther King said, stop scratching where it doesn't itch. Don't laugh when it's not funny. And stop hating. Seriously, just stop hating. You're literally hating an extension of your body. We all came from one cell. We are human first, and we are human last. And we need to get our shit together. We need to own our lives, and we need to take responsibility for fixing this. Okay? We can do it. It'll be so much fun. Promise. Love you.